I woke up in my sister's body on the morning of the family trip to Hawaii, screaming her name into a mirror that showed my own face staring back. Except it wasn't mine anymore, not really. The betrayal hit like a gut punch when I realized she'd done this on purpose, swapping us with that black market ritual she'd learned from some Silicon Valley cult, all to steal my life and leave me rotting in hers. And the worst part? Mom knew. She'd always known everything, from the day Dad's accident pinned the blame on me, and now she wouldn't even meet my eyes as I begged for help, her silence screaming that blood meant nothing when power was on the line. That's when I decided I'd burn it all down from the inside, starting with the lies that buried me alive. The salt air of Waikiki should have been my escape, not my prison sentence. But there I was, trapped in Kinsley's skin, my little sister's skin, watching the turquoise waves crash against the black volcanic rocks while our family's private cabana fluttered in the trade winds like a flag of surrender. It was day one of what was supposed to be the Hale family reunion in paradise, the kind of luxury getaway that screamed old money and new regrets. Palm fronds rustled overhead, and the distant ukulele strums from the resort's luau setup mocked the knot in my stomach. I adjusted the oversized sunglasses perched on Kinsley's button nose, feeling the unfamiliar weight of her bikini top digging into shoulders that were slimmer, softer than my own athlete's build. Every breath was a reminder. This wasn't me. This was her cage, and I'd been shoved inside. Kinsley, me, now, God help me, had always been the golden child. The one who got the straight A's without cracking a book, the one whose smile could charm a room full of venture capitalists at Dad's tech galas in Palo Alto. I was the screw-up, the one who'd taken the fall for his drunk driving crash 5 years ago, even though we'd both been in the car that night, racing home from a party in the hills. Dad's blood alcohol was 0.0. Mine tested high because he'd slipped something into my Coke to teach me a lesson about staying in line. But the cop spotted his story, the grieving widower angle, with Mom playing the shattered Southern Belle, and I got juvenile detention, the record that killed my scholarship dreams. Kinsley? She got sympathy cards and a trust fund bump. Now, here in Hawaii, she was strutting around in my body, taller, broader, with a faint scar on my left forearm from that skateboarding wipeout she used to envy. She lounged on a chaise by the infinity pool, flirting with the cabana boy in flawless Portuguese she'd picked up from her gap year in Lisbon. Obrigada, handsome, she purred, tossing my dark waves over one shoulder. Our mom, Evelyn Hale, sat nearby in a wide-brimmed hat and kaftan, sipping a Mai Tai like it was holy water, her eyes glued to her phone. Dad's empire had left her with bored seats and black cards, but zero spine. I approached, my bare feet sinking into the warm sand, heart pounding like a war drum. "Mom," I said, pitching my voice low to match Kinsley's breathy timbre. It came out wrong, too gravelly from disuse. She'd barely spoken since the swap, holed up in her suite nursing what she called jet lag. Bullshit. The swap happened last night in the hotel spa's steam room, that cursed amulet from her wellness retreat, glowing like a faulty circuit board. One chant in some bastardized Hawaiian pidgin, a flash of vertigo, and bam, souls scrambled like eggs on a griddle. Mom didn't look up. Not even a flicker. Her manicured nails tapped the screen, scrolling through emails from Hale Dynamics, the AI firm Dad built before the embolism that claimed him 2 years back. Another lie I'd carried. I'd found the inconsistencies in his autopsy, the off-book payments to a shady clinic in Reno. But when I tried to tell her, she shut me down with that ice queen stare. "Let it go, Harper. For the family." "Harper," I hissed, leaning closer, the scent of coconut sunscreen turning my stomach. "It's me, Harper." Kinsley did this. A shadow fell over us. Kinsley and me sauntered up, dripping pool water, her grin all teeth and triumph. "Hey, sis. You look like you swallowed a pineapple. What's got you all twisted?" She ruffled her hair, the gesture brotherly in my frame, sisterly in mockery. Mom finally glanced up, her Botox-smooth forehead creasing just a hair. "Kinsley, darling, why don't you go get us some shave ice? The one with the Lee Hing Mui powder, like last time." It was code for shut up and obey. Last time being the cruise to Alaska, where I dared question Dad's suicide note and ended up seasick for days, courtesy of a spiked ginger ale. Kinsley nodded, playing the part. On it, Mom. Anything for you. She shot me a wink that said your move, loser, then peeled off toward the vendor carts lining the beach path, her strides long and confident in my legs. I dropped into the chair beside Mom, the wicker creaking under my lighter weight.
Please.
You have to believe me.
She swapped us.
With that thing from her cult friends. Remember the package from Big Island? The obsidian necklace? Mom's lips thinned, the only tell she allowed. She'd seen it arrive, wrapped in TI leaves, addressed to Kinsley from Auntie Lonnie. Code for the reclusive tech heiress who'd mentor my sister in alternative therapies. Evelyn Hale didn't do woo-woo. She did mergers and acquisitions. But she'd let it slide, just like she'd let Dad's affair slide, just like she'd let me take the rap for his crash. Harper, she murmured, voice like chilled silk. You're overtired. The flight was long. Drink some water. She slid a bottle my way, condensation beading like sweat. It's not. I grabbed her wrist, the skin cool and papery under my fingers. For a split second, her eyes met mine, and I saw it. The flicker of recognition, drowned quick in denial.
She'd known about the swap.
Maybe not the how, but the why. Kinsley had whispered it to her weeks ago, over chamomile tea in the sunroom back home in Atherton. Mom, Harper's spiraling. The detective she hired is digging too deep into Dad. I can fix it, make her see reason from the inside. And Mom, ever the pragmatist, had nodded. Because Hale Dynamic stock was tanking on rumors of fraud, and my amateur sleuthing threatened to unearth Dad's real killer. Not suicide, but sabotage by a bored rival. A rival Mom had her own dirt on, leverage she'd buried to protect the shares. You chose her, I whispered, releasing her arm like it burned. Over me. Again. She looked away, toward the horizon where Diamond Head loomed like a clenched fist. Go enjoy the beach, Kinsley. That's what sisters do. I stood, the sarong whipping around my ankles in the breeze, tasting salt that wasn't from the sea.
Fine.
If they wanted to play house with my body as the prize, I'd play too. But from the shadows, where the real monsters hide. That night, as the luau fires crackled and hula dancers swayed under strings of lanterns, I slipped away from the feast. Kinsley was holding court at the head table, regaling Mom and the aunts with tales of my lacrosse glory days at Stanford, lies she cribbed from my diary. I ducked into the resort's volcanic trail, the path lit by solar torches that flickered like dying stars. The amulet. I needed it back. I'd overheard her chanting the incantation from her phone notes, something about mana exchange and echoes of Pele. Reversible if you timed it right, before the full moon crested Mauna Kea. Tonight was the window. The spa was locked, but the side door hung ajar, steam still wafting from the afternoon's eucalyptus treatments. Inside, the air hung heavy, scented with plumeria and something sharper, like ozone before a storm. I rummaged through the lost and found bin, heart hammering, until my fingers closed on cool stone. There it was, the obsidian pendant, etched with glyphs that seemed to writhe in the low light. Clutching it, I whispered the reversal words, feeling a pull like hooks in my ribs. But nothing.
No flash, no vertigo.
Just the drip of a leaky faucet and my own ragged breaths. Footsteps echoed from the hall. I froze as Kinsley, in my body, stepped in, silhouetted against the exit glow. Looking for this? She dangled a duplicate amulet, twin to mine, smirking like she'd hacked the Matrix. You duplicated it? My voice cracked, high and fragile in her throat. 3D, printed the shell, etched the real deal myself. Auntie Lonnie's got a lab in Hilo, nanotech infusions for spiritual alignment. She stepped closer, towering now, my own height weaponized against me. But you're stuck, sis. This is mercy. From in here, you can relax. No more playing detective, no more ruining Mom's life with your paranoia. Paranoia? I lunged, but she sidestepped easy, years of my training making her untouchable. Dad didn't kill himself. It was Victor Lang, board chair, the one who retired after the merger. I have the emails, the wire transfers to that clinic. He poisoned Dad to cover the embezzlement. Her laugh was mine, deep, disbelieving. And Mom knows. That's why she greenlit this. You're the loose end, Harper. The one who testified against Dad in the crash hearing, even if it was his idea. You think she forgives that? The words landed like lava rocks. I testified to save face, to claw back some control after Juvie stripped it all.
But Mom.
She testified too, painting me as the wild one. Family first, always. Kinsley pocketed the fake amulet. Sleep it off. Tomorrow's the helicopter tour, your favorite. Don't make a scene. She left me there, pendant limp in my fist, the steam condensing on my skin like tears I couldn't shed. Back at the luau, Mom raised a glass to absent fathers, her toast slurring just enough to hint at the gin hidden in her flask. Kinsley clapped loudest in my hands. I watched from the fringes, plotting my first move. Hack her phone. She still used my old passcode. Our shared birthday. Child's play. By dawn, as the roosters crowed over the jungle canopy, I'd mirrored her device to the resort Wi-Fi. Buried in her notes, a folder labeled contingencies. Screenshots of Dad's final text to Victor Lang, begging off the fraud.
Proof.
And below it, a draft email to the SEC, time-stamped for release post-trip, from my IP address, routed through my Stanford alumni account. She wasn't just stealing my body. She was framing me for the leak, tanking the stock and pinning the family ruin on the ungrateful daughter who'd always hated Dad. Rage boiled, hot as the island sun rising red over the reef. I'd get it all back. Body, truth, vengeance. But first, I'd make them doubt. The helicopter blades thwopped like a migraine as we lifted off from the helipad, the pilot's voice crackling over the headsets about thermal updrafts and lava tubes. Below, Oahu sprawled in emerald folds, highways snaking like veins toward Honolulu's glittering sprawl. I gripped the armrest, Kinsley's manicured nails digging into vinyl, staring out at the Pacific as if it held answers. Mom sat across, sunglasses hiding her bloodshot eyes, nursing a thermos of what smelled like spiked pineapple juice. Kinsley, in my frame, leaned forward eagerly, pointing out humpback whales breaching in the distance. See that, Mom? Harper's obsessed with marine bio, says it's like hacking the ocean's code. The pilot chuckled, a burly local with a lei tucked into his flight vest. Your sister's got spirit, eh? Most tourists puke on the Na Pali. I forced a smile, the kind Kinsley perfected in debate club, sweet, sidelong, disarming. Yeah, well, Harper's always been the daredevil. Remember parasailing in Tahoe, Mom? Nearly gave you a heart attack. Mom's jaw tightened, the only betrayal. Tahoe was my story, the one where Dad grounded me for a month after I snuck out. But she'd nod along, rewriting history to fit the narrative. Harper the hothead, Kinsley the peacemaker. The chopper banked toward the north shore, wind shear buffeting us like a tantrum. Kinsley's eyes met mine over the roar, triumph laced with warning. Last night's hack had yielded more than the SEC draft. Voice memos of her practicing my laugh, studying my gait from hidden cam footage in our Atherton mansion. She'd prepped for this swap like a hostile takeover, consulting that cult in the valley, Neo-Pele they called it, a mashup of Silicon shamanism and Hawaiian mysticism peddled to burned-out coders. The amulet wasn't magic, it was biotech, some neural lace that hijacked synaptic patterns, swapping consciousness for 72 hours max reversible, unless you dose the counteragent wrong. She'd accidentally crushed the vial in her haste. Or so the note in her phone claimed. For Mom's eyes only. We touched down on a private airstrip near the Waimea Canyons, where a waiting Jeep tour promised off-the-beaten-path thrills. The guide, a sun-leathered haole named Jake with a man bun and tattoo sleeves of ancient petroglyphs, handed out water bottles and waivers. Watch for flash floods, folks. Goddess Pele don't play. Kinsley volunteered to shotgun the front seat, her enthusiasm grating in my voice. Lead the way, Jake. Harper here's a history buff. Tell us about the overthrow. I shot her a glare as we piled in, the Jeep's engine growling to life over red dirt roads. Mom claimed the back with the ants, popping an Ativan like candy. The canyons rose around us, sheer walls of iron oxide streaked like old blood, vines dangling like nooses. Jake spun yarns about the 1893 coup, American sugar barons toppling the queen for profit. Same as today, yeah? Tech moguls buying up the land, calling it preservation. Kinsley's laugh rang false. Sounds like Dad. Always said Hawaii was the next frontier for hail dynamics. AI for sustainable AG. I couldn't hold it. Dad said a lot of things, like how Victor Lang was family, until he wasn't. The Jeep hit a rut, jarring us silent. Mom cleared her throat. Harper, that's not. Kinsley. I cut in, sweet as poi. You tell him. You were the one who found Dad's hidden server, right? All those emails about the Reno clinic. Kinsley's head whipped around, my ponytail, slapping the seat. What server? You're mixing up your fanfic again, sis. Jake glanced back, intrigued. Family drama? We got podcasts for that. The ants tittered, but Mom's face went ashen. Score one for the imposter. I'd planted the seed, casual as a lay, letting doubt fester. By lunch at a roadside shave ice stand, snowy mounds dyed guava pink and tiger's blood red. I'd escalated. Slipping away to the porta potty, I texted Jake from Kinsley's burner app, ask about hail dynamics. Insider tip, fraud cover-up. Off record? He bit at the first red light back. So hail like the AI guy? Heard rumors his kid's digging dirt. That true? Kinsley froze mid-bite, syrup dripping down her chin, my chin.
Who told you that?
Jake shrugged, eyes on the mirror. Birds sing in the islands, brah. Something about a crash and a cover-up. Mom choked on her spoon. That's ancient history. My eldest. She struggles with boundaries. I leaned forward, all wide-eyed innocence in Kinsley's doe eyes. Struggles? Or truths?
Kinsley, you were there that night.
Dad's car, the twisty road to Big Sur. You saw him dose my drink. The Jeep swerved as Jake hit the brakes, dust clouding the air. Whoa, aloha means hello, and goodbye. We pulling over? No, Kinsley snapped, authority slipping in my baritone. It's a joke. Sisters ribbing. But the damage stuck. At the canyon overlook, where tourists snapped selfies against the void, Jake cornered her alone. I watched from a safe distance, pretending to text, as he murmured low, nodding at his phone. Recording probably. For that podcast. Mom pulled me aside behind a banyan tree, its roots twisting like exposed nerves. What are you doing? Me? Asking why my own mother won't look at me. I held up the pendant, hidden in my palm. This ends tonight. Full moons at 9:17. Get me the counter serum from her bag. Her eyes darted to Kinsley, laughing with the group, all charm. She's protecting us. Victor's dangerous. Private security, off-grid compounds. If the board finds out she knew Dad was murdered? Or that you paid the clinic to fake the embolism cert? I'd found that transfer to $2 mill to medical consulting and breadcrumbs she'd left sloppy in grief. Evelyn's hand trembled as she gripped my arm. I did it for you girls. To end the investigation. Police would have dragged us all in. For us? Or your seat on the board. The wind howled through the canyon, carrying echoes of long-ago chants. Pele, goddess of destruction, choosing her vessels. She deflated, handing over a vial from her kaftan pocket, tiny, amber, unlabeled. Don't make me regret this. I palmed it, resolve hardening. But as we loaded up, Kinsley sidled close, breath hot on my ear. Nice try with the guide. But Jake's on peril. Hail retainer for local insights. Your texts? Flagged to me. She flashed her phone. My burner messages, time-stamped and archived. Checkmate. The ride back was thick with silence, broken only by the ants' chatter about spa bookings. Dusk fell fast, streetlights winking on in Haleiwa as we hit the highway. I fingered the vial in my pocket, plotting phase 2. Expose her at dinner. The family luau at the resort, full of cousins and uncles. Perfect audience for a meltdown. But halfway to the van transfer, the Jeep fishtailed. Tires screeching on wet asphalt. Rain had rolled in sudden, biblical from nowhere. Jake cursed, wrestling the wheel as we hydroplaned toward a guardrail. The world tilted, canyon dropping away below. Kinsley screamed. My scream, raw and primal. Mom clutched the seat. I braced, vials shattering in my pocket, serum soaking my thigh like warm blood. Impact. Metal crumpling, glass exploding. Then black. I came to in a hospital bed, beeps and antiseptic sting, the swap undone by sheer trauma. My body, bruised, bandaged, ached true. Kinsley hovered, tears streaked in hers, Mom comatose in the next room from a concussion. You almost killed us, she whispered, gripping the rail. For what? Petty revenge. I coughed, tasting copper. Not revenge. Justice. Call the cops on Jake. He's no guide, he's Victor's plant. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. The crash was an accident. It was escalation. As nurses swarmed, I smiled through split lips. Game on. But now, with bodies realigned, the real war began. Back in California, the fog rolled thick over the Golden Gate like a shroud, 2 days post-crash. SFO's baggage claim hummed with jet-lag zombies, but I moved like a ghost in my own skin, stitches pulling at my ribs, a halo of bruises framing eyes that saw everything sharper now. Kinsley trailed a step behind, playing the concerned sister. Her arm looped through Mom's as Evelyn shuffled on crutches, ankle sprained in the wreck. The family jet had whisked us home, courtesy of Hale shares, but the silence between us was louder than the tarmac roar outside. Harper, honey, Mom rasped, voice frayed from pain meds. You need rest. No more. Adventures. Adventures. Code for my digging. I nodded, loading our bags into the waiting Escalade. Black, tinted, driver a stone-faced ex-Marine named Ruiz, Dad's old security detail. Rest sounds divine. Maybe after I chat with the NTSB about that Jeep's brakes. Kinsley's grip tightened on Mom's elbow. She's delirious. Blame the morphine. But I wasn't. The vial serum had fizzled in the crash, but the swap's afterglow lingered, a neural echo, like muscle memory from her mind bleeding into mine. I knew her passcodes, her fears, the way she bit her thumbnail when cornered. And her contingency, a dead man's switch on that SEC email, set to fire if her vitals flatlined. The crash was meant to trigger it, framing me posthumously. Ruiz gunned the engine onto 101, weaving through traffic toward Atherton. The peninsula unspooled in manicured blur, Silicon Valley's emerald necklace, hiding fortunes and feuds. Our estate loomed at the cul-de-sac's end, Spanish Revival sprawl with terracotta roofs and iron gates etched with hibiscus. Home's sweet crypt. Inside, the housekeeper had left lights on low, scent of lavender diffusers masking the staleness of absence. Mom headed straight for her master suite, door clicking shut like a vault. Kinsley lingered in the foyer, kicking off her Louboutins, mine, scuffed from the Jeep roll. Truce, she offered, voice soft, almost genuine. We almost died. For what? Dad's ghosts. I dropped my duffel, the thud echoing off marble. Ghosts? Try skeletons. Victor Lang didn't just kill him. He groomed you. Her face drained of color. I'd pulled it from her phone during the flight home, hacked via the plane's satlink, emails from Uncle Vic starting innocent, internship offers at Langtech, escalating to guidance on the amulet, sourced from his black market network. Victor, the boardroom viper with a compound in Tahoe and ties to every pack in Sacramento. He'd whispered in her ear post-Dad's death, your father's weakness was trust. Learn from it. Swap in, swap out, control the narrative. You're lying, she breathed, but her eyes darted to the study door. Am I? Check your drafts folder. The one labeled Legacy. You were going to sell the fraud proof to him for a board seat. She lunged, but I sidestepped, years of evasion drills kicking in. We grappled in the hall, her nails raking my arm, the same scar she'd envied. You don't get it. Mom's drowning in debt. Dad's suicide left liens. Victor offered a way out. For all of us. Including framing me? The email traces to my laptop. A crash from upstairs, Mom's voice, muffled, calling for water. Kinsley froze, then shoved past me, composing herself in the hall mirror. You're the problem, Harper. Always stirring shit. The crash? Jake warned me you'd escalate. Self-defense. Self-defense with tampered brakes? Call it what it is, attempted murder. She laughed, brittle as bay glass. Prove it. Victor's got lawyers that eat NTSB for breakfast. I let her go, watching her ascend the spiral stairs, each step a calculated sway. Alone, I slipped into Dad's study, leather-bound denial, walls lined with first editions and framed patents. His desk safe yielded to my birthday combo, files on the Reno Clinic, stamped confidential, EH. Mom's initials. She'd signed off on the fake cert, trading silence for stock options. Betrayal squared. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown. Need proof? Meet at Stowe Lake. Midnight. Bring pendant.
Jake.
The guide wasn't Victor's. He was a stringer for a PI firm, hired by
Me?
No, the old me, pre-swap. I'd outsourced surveillance weeks back, anonymous drops. Midnight found me at Golden Gate Park, fog muting the city glow, paddle boats bobbing like ghosts on the lake. Jake waited on a bench, man bun damp, offering a flash drive. Your retainer paid up. Brake fluid drained, caught on cam from a trail drone. Lang's goon did it, but he's ghosted. The drive held footage, grainy night vision of a hooded figure at the Jeep, time-stamped pre-tour. And audio, Kinsley's voice on a burner call, handle it quick. Mom can't know. I pocketed it, pendant heavy in my jacket. Why help? He shrugged. Island's got rules. Family's sacred, till it's not. Back home by 2 a.m., the house slumbered. But not Kinsley. She waited in my room, perched on the bed in silk pajamas, amulet twin around her neck. Productive stroll? I tossed the drive onto the duvet.
Watch.
Then talk. Her face crumpled as the video played, brake lines snicking open. He said it'd just scare you. Force a timeout. Victor? Or your boyfriend? Silence. Then, both. Twist 1. She'd been sleeping with the enemy. Pillow talk laced with corporate espionage. Victor's mentorship was leverage, her body for intel, mine for the fall guy. You prostituted our family, I said, voice steady as the pendant's chain. She stood, eyes blazing. You prostituted yourself. Testifying against Dad? For what a plea deal. Mom hates you for it. The door creaked. Mom, crutches thumping, robe askew. Enough. She'd heard. All of it. In the lamplight, her face cracked, the queen unmasked. Victor called earlier. Said the SEC drops live unless I resign the board.
Kinsley.
You promised. Kinsley's defiance crumbled. I fixed it, Mom. The swap, it was temporary. Harper in my skin, she'd see how hard it is. Back off the digging. Mom sank onto the vanity stool, head in hands. I knew. And I let it happen. Because you're my baby. The one who stayed. The room spun. Echoes of Hawaii crashing back. The ignored pleas. The averted eyes. Deep betrayal, layered like the fog outside. I clutched the real amulet, vile remnants sticky in memory. One chance. Call Victor off. Or I hit send on this to the Chronicle. Kinsley snatched the drive, bolting for the door. Mom lunged, crutches clattering, and grabbed her wrist.
No.
It's over. Sirens wailed distant, closing in. Victor's cleanup crew? Or cops on Jake's tip. The chaos erupted. Shouts, scuffles. Kinsley twisted free, hurling a lamp, glass shattering like trust. I tackled her, pendant swinging, chanting the reversal under my breath. Futile, but symbolic. Then the front door exploded inward. Black tactical vests, shouts of FBI. Victor's panic button or mine. Agents swarmed, cuffing Kinsley mid-snarl. Mom collapsed, sobbing. And me? Standing in the wreckage, free but fractured. But as they read her rights, wire fraud, conspiracy, the lead agent pulled me aside.
Harper hale?
We've been waiting. Your anonymous tips checked out. But one thing, the crash call, came from Evelyn's phone.
Mom.
She dialed 911 mid-fight, turning on her favorite to save the other. Twist 2. Her silence wasn't complicity. It was paralysis, loving two daughters, losing both. The federal courthouse in San Francisco smelled like polished oak and desperation, the kind that clings to wool suits in December chill. 6 months post-Hawaii, and the Hale empire teetered on plea bargains. Victor Lang in orange jumpsuit, Kinsley bargaining for immunity in a side room. I sat in the gallery, row 3. Fingers tracing the pendant now retired to a evidence locker, biotech confiscated, cult dismantled. Mom testified first, her voice a monotone reel of dates and dollars. The Reno payoff, the boardroom whispers, the crash cover-up that started it all. Your Honor, her lawyer droned. Mrs. Hale acted under duress. Grief impaired judgment. Impaired. The word hung, polite euphemism for the shatter-eyed witness that night. FBI storming the foyer, agents peeling back layers, Dad's murder via laced insulin, Victor's doing, to seize control. Kinsley's role? Courier for the toxin, unwitting at first, then eager for the upgrade. She'd swapped us not just for control, but to alibi her drop-off. In my body, she'd hand-deliver the vial to Victor's Tahoe meat, framing the troubled sister. The prosecution painted her as pawn-turned-player, Victor as the spider with webs in D.C. lobbies. But the real trial was ours. Family, splintered on the stand. I took the oath next, voice steady under fluorescent glare. On the night of the Big Sur crash, Richard Hale drugged me to simulate impairment. It was a lesson, he said, tough love for questioning his ethics. I took the fall because I loved him and feared him. Gasps rippled, reporters scribbling furiously. Mom's eyes met mine across the aisle, wet and raw. No Botox could freeze that pain. Then the swap. I continued, detailing the amulet's hum, the disorientation in Kinsley's skin. It wasn't revenge for me. It was survival. She hid her crimes in my shadow, but shadows cast long. Kinsley entered then, escorted, her once golden curls limp, jumpsuit swallowing her frame. She wouldn't look at me, but at Mom, pleading, a child's gaze in a woman's defeat. The judge, a grizzled vet named Kowalski, with a gavel scarred from Union busts, called recess. In the hall, coffee machines gurgled like accusations. Mom cornered me by the vending machine, crutches swapped for a cane. You could have buried us. Why testify for leniency? I popped a quarter in, watching the Snickers spiral down. Because blood's thicker than indictments. And because Dad would have wanted it, messy but whole. Liar. Dad would have lawyered up, vanished to Cayman. But the man who'd taught me chess at dawn, sacrificing queens for gambits? He'd nod at this. Trial dragged weeks, exhibits of wire transfers, audio of Victor's brags. Hale's girls are clay, mold, am right. Kinsley flipped midway, trading testimony for deferred prosecution, community service, therapy, no jail. Controversial, the headline screamed. Tech heiress walks on murder plot? Protests outside, justice for Harper trending on X, pitting family loyalty against accountability. Victor's verdict dropped first, life, no parole. Manslaughter elevated to capital via the fraud pyramid, embezzlement funding dark money packs, even election meddling whispers. As cuffs clicked, he sneered at me. You were always the weak link, kid.
Pity. Pity.
The word echoed Dad's last, from the deathbed tape I'd leaked. Pity the fools who trust power. Kinsley's hearing was quieter, chambers closed. I waited outside. Penance ghost weighed on my chest. When she emerged, deal struck, ankle monitor blinking. She stopped short. Harper. I thought it'd fix everything. Make you see my side. Your side? The one where you dose sisters and dodge cops. Bitterness edged my tone, but I stepped closer. Or the one where mom chooses you every time? She flinched. She didn't. The 911 call? That was her choosing you. Saving the truth teller. Twist 3. Mom's testimony cracked it open. Under oath, she'd admitted greenlighting the swap, not for protection but penance. I blamed Harper for Richard's rages, his secrets. But it was me, ignoring the signs, chasing the boardroom glow. The crash? My failure to intervene. Deeper cut, Dad's accident wasn't punishment for me alone. He'd targeted Kinsley too, that night, driving erratic to scare her straight after she'd hacked his emails, uncovering the Lang alliance. I took the wheel mid-fight, swerving us safe. But the talk screen? Mom had tampered it, shifting blame to shield her baby. Betrayal inverted. I'd borne the crime for both parents, their golden girl the catalyst. In the end, Kinsley got probation, house arrest in Atherton, mandated sessions with a Valley shrink specializing in executive trauma. Mom resigned the board, donating shares to a victims' fund for corporate whistleblowers.
Me?
I walked free, but the scars itched, the neural echo making me flinch at mirrors, wondering whose thoughts lingered. We reconvened at the estate that Christmas Eve, trees strung with lights that danced like fireflies on the frost-kissed windows. No Hawaii invites this year, just takeout pho from the Strip in Millbrae, steaming in paper bowls. Mom raised her glass, sparkling cider, sober 6 weeks. To new starts, messy ones.
Gässlich klingt, Tentative. I'm sorry, Harper.
For the body, the lies, everything. I met her eyes, seeing the flicker, the echo of me and her, perhaps permanent. Apology accepted. But next family trip? We fly commercial. No swaps. Laughter broke, fragile but real. Outside, the fog lifted, stars pricking the velvet sky over the valley. Justice? Partial. Debates raged in op-eds, podcastists dissecting our toxic dynasty. Happy ending? Nah, too pat for Hale blood. More like armistice. Sisters scarred, mother mending, empire echoes fading. But as I slipped the pendant's chain, retrieved from evidence, inert now, into my pocket, I felt the pull. One last chant, whispered to the dark, not reversal, but resolve. If shadows creep again, I'll be ready. In this skin, or the next. The end?
Nah.
Just intermission. Families like ours don't die, they evolve. Into something sharper, unbreakable. Or so I tell myself, when the doubts howl at midnight.